Welcome to our Tai Chi and Internal Martial Arts class for this Monday morning, first Monday of October. Time is flying by, colors are changing, and I hear there was frost on the ground in Peterborough today, so I think it's on its way. So let's get our feet settled in the ground, tongue to the roof of the mouth, and we'll just gently inhale, looking up. Nice deep breath in and down. Again, we're going to inhale and rise, and exhale to settle. One more time, rising up and down. And looking from side to side. Then we'll go ear to one shoulder and hang. And over to the other. Again to the first side. And the second. And we're going to let the head roll. We'll do some gentle half circles in the front. Keeping the jaw closed, let's take the chin up and around. And then the other way. Good. Shoulders can go forward and up. And back and down. Good. Again, forward and up. And back and down. One last time. Forward and up. And back. And let that settle. Then we'll reverse. We'll come up the back and down in the front. Good. Into the arms. We'll cross those arms, rise them up, out to the sides, and settle. All right, so then we'll reverse, head the other way. Good. Okay, let's stretch out from the side. So we'll lift up, hang to one side, and up and over to the other. One more time to the first side. And the second. We're going to bring the arms up over the head. I'm going to twist and settle. And rise. Twist to settle. And rise. One last time. Let those arms settle, and then we're going to reverse. So we'll come back up. Turn at the top, let them settle. Twist at the bottom and rise. Twist at the top to settle. Last time round. Twist and rise. And twist to settle. And then just let those arms go nice and loose and wrap around a bit. Okay, let's stretch out the shoulders a little. So we'll cradle one arm across in the front. And same on the other arm. Good. And over the head and down on one side and on the other. Good. Behind the back and pull. And same on the other side. And one more time. We'll just let those arms go nice and loose. Good. Let's head to the hips. I'm going to warm those hips up, let them roll around one way. And around the other. One more time the first way. And the second. Good. Let's place the heel on the ground, let the toe rock in and out to continue to work on warming up the hip. Working on that turning in, turning out for our turnarounds and foot positioning work. So ball of foot on the ground, try and get your heel to go in and out, keeping the pelvis nice and still. Good, so let's go to the other foot. Heel down and toe in and out, working that range. So try not to shimmy, try to work right in the ball and socket of the hip. Toe on the ground and heel in and out. Okay, let's go toe across in the front, so turn in, lift up, then turn out and settle the foot. So in and up, out and down. One more time, in, up, out, and down. We'll do the same on the other leg. So turn in, lift up, turn out, and down. Then we're going to switch back to the first leg. We're going to start with the turned out position. Then we'll come up and turn in to come across. Yeah. Same on the other side. So turn out, lift up, turn in and across. Good. Okay, shake out those legs a little. Let's warm up the knees. We'll bring the feet together. Roll the knees one way. And roll the knees the other way. Wake up the hamstrings with a bit of a stretch down, hang down towards the ground. And then we'll roll and come back up. Good. Okay, let's start this morning with movement number 2 from the 20 Qigong exercise. A good movement pattern for just kind of settling into the class. So we're going to settle our hands down at the sides. We're going to turn and open the hands out. We're going to expand through the rib cage outwards. We're then going to think about lifting that rib cage up while keeping the tailbone low and the knees and the ankles settled and soft. And then we're going to drop the rib cage, fingers face in and palms press down. We want to time this exercise to our breathing. So find your own pace for the movement and the breath. And you want to inhale while you're opening and lifting up through the rib cage. And you want to exhale as you settle and sink and come back down. Taking a bit of time, beginning of class, just to kind of change gears. So what we want to do is we want to start trying to connect mind and body a little bit. So we're kind of scanning through the body as we settle the arms, thinking about releasing chronic tension in the body, finding a sense of feet in the ground and that support that comes from having the feet settle deep into the earth. We want to slow our breathing rate down. We want to feel like the ground supports the rising motion and the settling motion increases that sense of connection to the ground. But we're always scanning for where we're holding chronic tension in the body, because that chronic tension has a negative impact on both mental and physical health. So the more we can become conscious of where we hold those tight points in our body and release them, sometimes the healthier we are both mentally and physically. Let's do one more. So we're going to reach out, we're going to rise. Nice deep breath in, lifting up through the ribs. And then settling and sinking and coming back down. You can shake it out a little. The next exercise we're going to do comes from the 8 Pieces of Silk set. And this is taking that idea of lifting up through the rib cage, but we're trying to do lift on one side and kind of condense or settle on the opposite side. So we're going to start with our palms facing one another, and we're going to lift up through the ribs on one side and press up towards the ceiling. We're going to open up through the shoulder blade. We're going to lift up through the rib cage. And on the opposite side, we're going to sink the ribs down and press up, press down and then press up. And we want our fingertips across the top and the palm kind of flat. Then we're going to rest through that side that's lifting, let it come down. The side that was settled is going to release and start to rise. So we're going to push up through the ribs. We're going to open up through the shoulder blade, press into the palms and kind of try and flatten the palms, sinking the ribs on one side and lifting on the other. Now we're not looking to make this a side bend. We're trying to stay upright and work on the mobility of the spine and shoulder blade area. So we're going to inhale and rise. And then we're going to exhale and settle. So we go inhale and rise up and push up over the head. And exhale to settle and come back down. We're going to do a couple more on each side. So inhale and rise. And then settle. And then we're going to come back onto that second side. Open up the ribs, settle the shoulder down. It's hard to get these kind of flat palms too, but they help to work on the flexibility and strength in the wrist and forearm. So we're going to do one more on each side. So we're flattening out the palm, we're lifting up through the rib, we're pressing down through the ground, and we're settling on the opposite side. And then release. One last one for this morning. Up and press up over the head and settle. And then let those arms come back down. So let's continue to work on upper back and shoulder mobility, which is a really important thing, especially when we spend a lot of time sort of hunched over and working on keyboards and stuff like that. So back to the 20 Qigong exercises, we're going to raise our hands up in the front. We're going to settle into a hollow fist. And then we're going to squeeze back with our shoulder blades and open the chest. And then we're going to come forward and round the back and press into the front. Good. So we're going to pull back and open. This is an inhale. We're going to exhale as we come forward and hollow the chest, push. And again, we'll pull back and inhale and draw. And then come forward as you exhale. Again, round the back, hollow the chest, then let those arms settle. Now we want to think of really heavy in the arms. So as we sink back, feel like those arms are kind of drawing down towards the floor. We push back behind a little bit, and imagine you can open your lower back and push with it backwards a bit too. And then release, let the hands settle. We're going to rise up in the front. We're going to gather into the hollow fist. And then we're going to open the chest, close the back, and then close the chest and hollow round that back. Again, draw back and open. Nice deep breath in. And remember, it's this chasing of chronic tension. So it's not about jamming yourself into the pose to get the maximum range of motion because that feels like we're doing something. It's about trying to make that range of motion have the least amount of resistance. So as you feel resistance, use your mind to scan and soften in that area, and then leave that pose and round and come forward. Okay, we'll let those hands fall again. We'll push back behind, and then we'll feel like you're going to drag our fingernails on the ground. We're going to come up into the hollow fist, and then squeeze and open up the chest, and hollow and come forward and round. Again, we're going to inhale and draw back, and exhale to come forward. I'll do this one more time. So inhale and draw back. Exhale and come forward. And then let's settle those arms back down. Good. And you can shake that out a little as well. Okay, let's keep working on moving and turning in the trunk of the body now. So we're going to work on an exercise where we're going to hold our arms up in the front of the body in universal post. And then from here, what we want to do is we want to maintain this framework. And this framework has the elbow settled, the shoulder relaxed, the wrists are kind of softened and moved in. And it feels like you're kind of inflating from the center all across your upper back and around the arms. And then what we want to do is we want to work on turning the trunk of the body, but leaving the legs and the knees and the hips behind. So we're going to try and keep that shape. Don't break down the shape, so don't cross with your arms, but see how far you can turn your sternum in one direction, and then soften and relax and release while you're there, and then return back to center. So turn till you start to feel tension building up in the pose. See if you can coax some of that tension out of the pose, and then release the pose and come back to center. And this is timed with your breathing. So you're inhaling as you go one way. You're exhaling as you come back. And you're inhaling the other way. So we're looking for range of motion in the spine, and we're looking to condition and strengthen the ability of the abdominals to draw and move and turn that spine without breaking down the legs. So we don't want knees and ankles rocking around. Like at the beginning of class, we were talking about getting those feet in the ground. Even as you're twisting, see if you can increase the connection between your feet and the feeling of the floor under the feet. That's it. So I'll come back through center. Just do a couple more on each side for this morning. Last set here. So head to one side, inhaling. Exhale as you come back. And then last time on the opposite side. Come back to center. And we'll just let those arms settle back down. Yeah, it's sometimes not easy just even keeping those arms up in that shape. So shake out those arms. We're getting that motion going in the trunk of the body. Let's work a little bit though on the strength in our legs. So we're going to do an exercise called the pillar between heaven and earth, which has some squatting in it. Do take care of your knees when you're doing squatting, and make sure you only go as low as you feel comfortable. So we're going to start out feet around shoulder width apart. We're going to bring those hands. So here's that feeling of push back a little, open the lower back, And then we're going to raise the arms up, looking a bit like a zombie movie here. And then we're going to hinge back in the hips and sink down towards the ground. Rest the arms. Now push through the ground. Pick up with the palms about sternum height. Settle, turn over, get a fist, and then press through the ground. Shoulder blades together like that last exercise. Lift up the ribs like the first exercise, but now we come right up onto the balls of the feet too to work on calf strength and balance. Then we finish by settling the heels, hollow fist in the hands, and everything settles to the ground and the ground supports the spine. So we're going to do a few more of those. So we're going to go push back, lift up, and settle. So we're sinking down. Only go as deep as you feel comfortable with your knees, with your legs, with your hips. We're looking for maintenance of the body and then slow gains over the long term. So turn over, open the ribs, push up through the ground, flatten out those palms, fingers towards one another, and then settle and root and come back down. Good. Push back, lift up, squatting down, hinge backwards into your legs. Pick up from the ground as you come up. Turn over, squat a little bit more and push right up. Rib cage up, tailbone down, balls of feet pressed into the ground. And let it settle. And we'll do one more for this morning. So we're going to roll back, push up with those arms, lift up with those arms, squat in, settle, hinge back towards the ground. Pick up from the ground, nice and slow with those squats. Turn over and press right up to the ceiling. And we're going to let that settle back down. Okay, shake out those legs. That's getting them warmed up a little bit. Let's work. We're going to work with some pieces from a set called 8 Pieces of Silk, because over the next little while, we're going to be looking at that set and putting it back together again. So let's start out with another twisting exercise for the spine. So we had the one with our hands here and we were working. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn those palms, and this is often referred to as a dragon pose. We're going to turn the palm out and we're going to turn the palm down. And we're going to put the hand that's down so it points at the hip, and the hand that's up is kind of like you're shading your eyes from the sun. Now the fingertips of the hand that's up, that's going to be the direction we're going to turn. So what we want to do is we want to twist over, and as we go up the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, we want to twist until we're twisting in the neck and looking out of the corner of the eye. Again, we don't want to break down the knees and the feet. We want them to face the same direction. Now to leave this pose, we're going to settle the front arm. We're going to pick up with the back arm. So now opposite arm is palm out, other hand is coiled in towards the hip, and we're going to look over the shoulder. And then come back through center. Hands kind of pass in the center here, and then we turn out that top hand and coil in the bottom hand as we look over the shoulder. Movements that get us twisting through the spine are really good for not only the range of motion in the spine, but the strength in the core for stability of the spine, but also very, very good for the digestive system. So this turning and twisting helps encourage the digestive system. Good. Let's just do two more, and then we're going to change the exercise a little bit. So twist and look over one shoulder. Good. And then one last time on the other side. So we're turning and looking over that shoulder. Nice. Okay, shake it out a bit. So in that exercise, everything was kind of coming inward, so what we call hollowing the chest. And that's what got this hand to kind of point in towards the hip. So we kind of creased in the collarbone area. We're going to do the same exercise now, but we're going to draw the hand to the hip. So notice how this whole shoulder area changes from rounded in the back and closed in the front to drawing with the shoulder blade and opening through the chest. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let that same idea of the one hand palm out, but now we're going to use this draw to the hips or tucking the shoulder blade in the elbow. So as we turn, we're kind of twisting and letting that elbow come behind the back. And then we're going to release that, take some of the tension out. So let go of that fist, open up the hand. It's going to come up over the head while we gather into the fist on the other side and twist. And you want to think about tucking that elbow and engaging the shoulder blade to help encourage the twist of the spine. And we'll just keep that going. And we're going to inhale as we twist and look over the shoulder. And we're going to exhale as we come back. And then we'll inhale over the other side. Good. So at your own time, twisting and looking over one shoulder. Inhale. Release. Come around. Let's do one more on each side to finish up today. Twist and look over. And to the other side. Last one for now. Good. And we'll come to center. And shake it out a little. Okay, let's do a couple more bits of upper body work in Qigong. This next one is also from the 8 Pieces of Silk. Now, it's going to have some stationary but difficult lower body work. So what we're going to do is we're going to settle the feet a little wider than shoulder width. Often this is referred to as the horse rider's position. And you want to kind of make a bit of a shelf out of your legs and drop your tailbone and try to keep the spine upright. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something called a bow and arrow posture. And again, this is from our 8 Pieces of Silk. So we're going to come around the body and reach with a fist on one side. We're going to lift up the hand. We're going to do an interesting kind of finger position here with the index finger up. So we're going to turn the body and then we're going to pull back like we're pulling on a bowstring. And we're thinking of the hand and the wrist like a bow. We're bowing that out and drawing back. So we come back to center. So what we're going to do is we go to the opposite sides. We're going to go fist in the hand that had the finger up. We're going to draw back that shoulder blade and lift up through the index finger. We're kind of curling in the the second knuckles of the hand. We're going to keep the legs where they are, and we're going to try to strengthen the spine, the muscles around the spine. Then we pull back on the bow. So we're going fist on one side, open the hand on the other, and draw back on the bow. Come across, open up the opposite hand. Try not to let those legs break down. The leg of the arm that's reaching across is going to want to bend in and collapse, but try to keep it open. And then draw back. Let me do that with my back turned a couple of times as we do this. So we're coming around and we're pulling on the bow. We are coming around. So this is our exhale. And the inhale is pulling on the bow. That's it. We'll do one more on each side for today. Come around and pull on the bow. And come around and pull on the bow. Okay, walk those legs in, shake them out. And we're going to do one more sort of slice out of the 8 pieces of silk here. And we're going to do an exercise that's often referred to as iron thread position. And so we've been seeing this throughout the class where we're kind of pressing the palm and kind of flattening it out. We're going to do this out to the sides of the body now. And this is kind of an extraction from the set. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift up and we're going to press those palms out to the sides. Now I don't want to be way back here. I'm binding my shoulder. I'm trying to let this settle slightly to the front of the body. And I want the elbows low and the shoulders low, but I want the palms pressing away. Feel like you're expanding from your spine out and fingertips pull back towards the head. And we're going to do this like this. We're going to go release the hands, bring in the arms, and then we're going to press that back out again. That's it. Release and press. Try not to get tight with the elbows and the shoulders. Try to keep those low. Good. Release and press one more time. And we're going to let it settle. Okay, shake out those arms a little bit. Let's get the legs busy again. And we're going to take an exercise from Yang style Tai Chi called Taking Tiger to the Mountain, which is going to do a lot of work on exchanging weight from leg to leg, while including some nice, beautiful arm work that has that iron thread feeling inside of it. So I'm going to start facing you so you can see some of the details of my crossed arms, but then I'll change over and you can follow with me with my back turned. So leg work is going to be shift the weight to one side, shift the weight to the other, shift the weight to one side, shift the weight to the other. So we're going to cross our wrists on one side. We're going to lift those hands over the head. We're going to cross over to the other side, lunging into that leg, and there's the iron thread. Then settle those wrists and arms, cross through the middle as the weight transfers through the middle, and gather up on the other side. You can lift that up and carry it over, and we'll let it settle and come back. So you're underneath. Over at the top, there's that kind of lift up the rib cage we were doing earlier. You're settling the rib cage and extending into the iron thread, and then rolling the weight from one hip to the other as you cross underneath again. That's it. Press over the head and reach and through and back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change and do that on the other side. So we're going to come from underneath and we'll carry that over and down, come through and under and then over the top and down. Difficult to get that nice exchange of weight in the legs. Asking for a lot of mobility in the hips because you want to fold in the hip on one side and open on the other without your tailbone kind of popping out to the back. So keep a sense of engagement in your lower abdominals as you do this. Again, we don't want to add tension, but we want to maintain structure. That's it. Over and down. Okay, we'll let that go for now. We can walk in those legs and shake them out. Let's do a little bit of leg stretching this morning. So please be gentle with this. This could be kind of a deep leg work for the hamstring and the sciatica area. So I'm going to turn my back for this one because I think it will help with the footwork. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our weight in the left leg and we're going to turn in with the right leg. Then we're going to roll back and put our weight on the right leg and lift the toe on that left side. Then what we want to do is we want to hang down and stretch down towards that front toe. The weight is mostly in the back leg, and then we're going to push up through that back leg. We're going to turn in with the left foot and lift up the toe on the right. We're going to squat in the left leg and then reach down towards the right leg. That's it, and come on up. We're going to do that again. So we're going to turn in, we're going to lift up. We're going to squat in the back leg as we hinge down and reach for the front. And come up. Turn in, lift up, and stretch down. And come up. Good. And we'll shake out those legs a little. Okay. We're going to do another deep twisting exercise for the trunk of the body. This one I always joke about, depending on the season. This is either my gardener special or the snow shoveler special. And seeing as we're heading, unfortunately, towards the snow shoveling part of the year, we'll call it cleaning out the garden and getting ready to snow shovel. So we're going to squat into our legs and we're going to brace our arms against our knees. And we want to kind of flatten out our back and we want our hips a little bit lower than our head. We're going to drop one arm towards the ground and then we're going to try to raise our rib cage on one side so that the arm comes up towards the ceiling and then comes down. Then we swipe over, we brace on the other side, and we rise up. And come down. And we change again. Typically, the breathing for this is to inhale as you rise. And exhale as you fall. And then we want to, again, keep that structure in the legs. So it feels like the twisting helps to ground the legs. The grounding of the legs helps to support the twisting. And the knees stay tracking over the feet. We'll just do one more on each side for this morning. So lift that up and twist and rise. And settle. And we've got to lift that up and twist and rise. And settle. Now we're going to keep the chin close to the chest. We're going to push up through the ground as we rise back up. Good. And we'll shake it out of the legs a little. Okay, we're going to finish up today because our time is disappearing quite quickly. One of the things we're going to look at this month is the brush knee step exercise from the Yang style Tai Chi. So we're going to put one foot forward and one foot back. And our lead arm, our front arm, what we're going to do is start with that. We're going to raise that arm up. And as we shift our weight into the back leg, we're going to let that arm cross. It's going to come across as our hips change. Then we're going to get that waist turning that we've been working on and let that arm settle down towards the back, the crossbody hip. And our weight's in that hip too. As we shift the weight into the front leg, this arm wants to sweep across in the front. So we're going to go lift up, carry that into the back leg, turn through the ribs to bring that palm down to the hip, release the waist and the hips, and come back to the front again. So we go under and turn and settle, and then come back across in the front. Come up and around. And this is kind of, just sweeping across the front. And then we settle and come through. One more time with that front arm. So under and around and settle and across. Let's look at the back arm now. So the back arm is going to draw back as we put the weight in the back leg. It's going to kind of hinge underneath. And as we go forward, it's going to push out with the palm. Now, this is a really good study in terms of self-defense in how to produce power from thrusting through the ground with the back leg and twisting through the front hip to create a strike or a push with that back arm. So we want to really feel like the hand and the foot are connected by pushing into the ground. We wind up. So this is a nice range of motion movement where we draw back, we soften in, and then we push through the ground. We turn that over, we draw back, we gather, and we push through the ground. Let's try both those exercises with the other arm forward. I'm just going to change my positions a bit so you can see it from different angles. So we'll go back to the front arm. I've now got my right leg forward, and I'm going to come across in the front, settle in that back hip, turn through the waist, settle the arm. Then I'm going to release my hip and waist and sweep across with that arm. Come around, gather, settle, and sweep across. That's it. Up and around, and sweep across. One more time. Up and across the front, down and back across the front. And then that back arm. Gather, settle, push through the ground and press into the palm. Draw back, gather, push through the ground, settle in the front leg and push out into the palm. Good. Okay, let's try just for a moment as we finish up this morning, putting both of those things together. So I'm going to go back to my left leg forward. You can choose whichever leg you want to work on. And we're going to go back, the backhand goes around. So they both kind of meet around the middle point and then settle in. And then we twist the hip, wiping with the bottom arm and pressing with the top. So as we stay with just a stationary rocking of weight here, we're going to drop that front arm. We're going to, drop the back arm. We're going to raise the front arm. We're going to kind of fold those in, hip and shoulder, and then we're going to push through the ground and forward. A couple more, and then we're going to have to let it go for this morning. So gather and push through the ground and twist. That's it. Roll back and gather. Push through the ground and twist. Okay, wish we had more time this morning. Time disappears fast when you're moving slow. So let's let those shoulders go back. All the things we work on today, of course, we will be continuing to explore for the entire month of October. So shoulders forward, let those arms circle back. And the arms can come forward. We're going to reach and lean to one side. And reach and lean to the other. Arms are going to just come up and just for a second, just kind of shake them out a little. Okay, this is called chi release. It's a way of kind of grounding yourself again. So the hands come up and we finish off the lesson with grounding ourselves, sinking into the ground and then rising back up. So it feels like you're smoothing out the energy in the body. Maybe you want to imagine you're releasing a bit more tension throughout the body. We want to engage the mind and the body together. That's one of the goals of this kind of work. It's not to separate, but to unify the way the mind and the body function. Okay, one last time. And we'll let those hands settle in the front. Great. Thanks for joining today. It's good to work with you. If you've got questions and you want to work on some stuff, you're here live, stick around. If you are catching this on the archive, feel free to always text or message. Give me some questions. We can bring it into the class for you. All right, thanks for training today.